Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in EDH. Today we're looking at Bess Soul Nourisher. So Bess is a 3-mana Selesnya commander. She's a 1/1, and she says, whenever one or more other creatures with base, power, and toughness 1/1 enter the battlefield under your control, put a +1 counter on her, and whenever she attacks, each other creature you control with base, power, and toughness 1/1 gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of +1 counters on Bess. So the clear and obvious goal here is to go wide and put a bunch of 1/1s into play to increase Bess's +1 counters, and then have her attack and give +X to all of the 1/1s. So we're doing Selesnya Beatdown. So to that end, there's obviously some cards that work very well with Bess. First off is probably the #1 card, Adeline. So Adeline, when you attack, will immediately put 3 1/1s into play that are attacking. Those all will trigger Bess. So Bess will get a +1 counter, and then you can stack the triggers so that the attack trigger on Bess resolves second, giving +1 to all of those creatures. We also have Sarah Ascendant, which is by its nature a 1/1 at base, but has naturally +5. So Sarah Ascendant will also trigger Bess and will be triggered by Bess. Similar to Adeline, we also have Worms Crossing Patrol, a 1/1 with Myriad. And then we have some other beatdown cards here in case we don't have Bess or in case we need something in addition to her. Beastmaster Ascension and Wild Beastmaster. It's also worth noting here that, again, you can stack Beastmaster and Soul Nourisher back to back. So you can pump everything with Bess first and then pump everything with Wild Beastmaster after Wild Beastmaster already got pumped by Bess. Obviously, we're putting a bunch of creatures into play, so we're going to want things like Enduring Innocence and Welcoming Vampire and Toski. We also got Staff of the Storyteller here, which is something else that puts a 1/1 into play. And Kutzel works particularly well in our deck because it also cares about base power and toughness to draw cards. And then obviously Skull Clamp. Pretty straightforward on the lands here. There's not too much to see other than it's worth pointing out that Dryad Arbor is a fetchable 1/1 that you can go grab to trigger Bess. And we also have Fountain Port here as another land that is capable of making 1/1 tokens. Ocelot Pride here, another 1/1 that makes 1/1s that also pairs well with Bess. Then we've got our protection, so obviously we need to make sure that Bess isn't countered or killed. And it's particularly good if those creatures are 1/1s like Allosaurus Shepherd, Benevolent Bodyguard, and Mother of Runes and Skrelv. Sylvan Safekeeper as well. A bunch of ramp, and this is once again very nice that a lot of our ramp monodorks are 1/1s at base, so all of these will trigger Bess and can be triggered by Bess. Some removal, again, Haywire Might here to trigger. We're also making lots of creatures, so Aura Shards is good. And Aura Mutation, a spell that destroys an enchantment and then makes X 1/1s, where X is the mana value of the enchantment. We got some stacks cards here. Obviously, our main plan is to win with Beatdown, so we're not doing any like crazy combos or anything. So if we can slow down our opponents with Rule of Law effects and taxes, that's going to allow us to hopefully win. And then a little bit of tutoring. The one very obvious card that I opted not to play was Genesis Chamber, and mainly this is because it itself didn't make any 1/1 creatures on its own, so it's kind of slow, and it also gave our opponents 1/1 creatures, meaning they could potentially block us a little easier, so ultimately opted not to do this. There's also a number of other, obviously, like 2-mana, instance and sorcery spells that just make 2 1/1s that are in green and white that I also opted not to play. I felt like the creatures that we had already were good enough and we didn't need those cards. So when I'm referring to those, I'm talking about cards like Clowning Around, Fists of Ironwood, Join the Dance, Gather the Townsfolk, Raise the Alarm, Servo Exhibition, cards like that. Ultimately, I just felt like those were probably not necessary for the deck and that the creatures we were already running would be good enough. But with all that said, that is going to do it for Bess Soul Nourisher in EDH.